Hello, welcome to the Raising Athletes podcast. My name is Kirsten Jones. I'm a peak performance and sports parenting coach. I love helping people figure out what's getting in their way, what's holding them back. A lot of times we just need to release some limitations that we're having to get what we really want in life. Susie Walton and I have been doing this podcast. Now we're going into our 5th season, which is so much fun. 5 years of doing this, and I've learned so much along the way. In fact, writing the book, Raising Empowered Athletes, which just came out last August, has been part of that fun journey of taking all these life lessons. I believe we all, have things that are holding us back. So when we get to talk to each other, learn from each other, learn from our own mistakes, we get to move forward. So in the spirit of, we started doing some college athlete, pro athlete interviews, and it's been so much fun to get to know behind the curtain, behind the scenes of what goes on. So this is super. I'm so excited for this one because this takes me all the way back to my roots in Missoula, Montana. And Geno Leonard, I am so excited to have you on. Thanks for making the time.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm excited to share and just continue to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe, do you want to tell the backstory? How do we know each other? Well, you don't. This is full disclosure. This is the first time we've met, but our paths have crossed in the past.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, my dad, he went to Sentinel High School, graduated in 1988, and he was a fellow classmate of Kirsten. And I kind of got linked through and just got reached out to and just heard about the podcast, and I thought it was an awesome experience. And Kirsten was kind enough to reach out to me and get me on. So I'm super excited to talk and kind of share my story and just talk further about what's going on. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Geno, for making the time. And my heart is very, going for the Griz. I was cheering for you guys last weekend. I know you just came off of a big, exciting, maybe we start there and then we'll go back to the beginning. But since that was exactly what just happened, let's talk about last weekend and making it all the way to the championships. And what did that feel like? I know you're injured right now, right? So you didn't get to play, but you're still part of the magic that got you there.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really special season with a lot of special seniors. So I'd like to say thanks to those guys. They were amazing. They were the first group of guys who came in with Coach Houck in this program and started in 2018 and graduated this year. And so they really built the foundation to what we need to do as a team to really get back to the national championship every year. It was definitely not the outcome we wanted this last weekend, but I mean, it was an awesome season, and we won a lot of games, and we fought real hard. And I think, these next 3 years that I have eligibility wise, I think that this team and this program will have the ability to get back there the next few years. So excited for that. Looking forward.
How many guys graduated? Do you know? Ish?
Probably around 20-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a few transfers, and then there's probably about 5 guys total, though, that started their freshman year and then finished through as seniors. So shows you the turnover that happens in college football.
Well, awesome. So to get to the national championship, it doesn't start there, right? It starts back in your youth. So I love hearing about how people got to where they are. So how did you become a D1 football player? Tell us about your childhood, what sports you played, what your parents encouraged you to do, your grandparents' influence. I know football runs deep in your family. So maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, like you said, football runs deep in my family. My grandpa was a football coach. He played here at the University of Montana in the 60s, early 70s. And so I knew, or early 60s, I should say. But yeah, he's big into football, and so it was always a big influence on me. Same thing with my dad. My dad, he played at the University of San Diego. And so,
quarterback. Yeah.
He always tells me about it. So who knows? Yeah, but I had a big football influence in my life when I was growing up. And so I always knew it was something I wanted to do. And, I played everything. I ski raced when I was a kid. Montana, we have tons of snow and a lot of fun, which that's a great skill to have. I can go ski anywhere now, which not very many people know how to do, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I ski raced when I was a kid. I played baseball. I didn't play basketball, but I like to mess around. My buddies all thought they were the best basketball players ever, so I'd like to push them around and try to do some of my football skills against them in that. But yeah, I just think that my parents, the biggest influence they had on me to, kind of pushing myself was I saw how hard they worked, in their work life and everything they did. And it's like, I knew they always pushed themselves every day, and they go to work every day and then come home late at night. And I saw their work ethic and their drive, and I knew that's something I wanted to do. And then same thing with my brother. He was a Division II baseball player at the University of Sioux Falls, and I saw his work ethic, and I knew that was something I wanted to pursue. And then, yeah, just as a kid, when I go out on Saturdays and watch the University of Montana play in my backyard, it's like that was a dream, and it was something I wanted to pursue and have the chance to do. And so now I'm here, and it's been a blessing and a great opportunity so far.
Obviously, you're in the Grizzlies' backyard, but how did they find you, or did you find them? I mean, I know I went to all the Lady Grizz volleyball camps, all the Lady Grizz basketball camps growing up. That was my dream, to be a Lady Grizz. So I know that that's a huge influence growing up in Missoula. How did they find you, or you found them, or?
Yeah, it was, like you said, going to camps. That was the biggest thing. And our coaches really, put an emphasis on that. They like to recruit guys that come to their camps and show that they are willing to come to Missoula and, want to put in the time and show off their skills in that aspect. And so I went to all the camps, and then I had the ability, like when the coaches would have a bye week here, they'd be able to come to some of our high school games. So they were able to watch us and, just being persistent, sending out film, sending out, Twitter's a big thing for recruiting. And so I'd send out a lot of direct messages on Twitter at the university, just really showing how interested I was. And so finally it was tough with COVID too, because, it was my junior year when we all got shut down. So there's no official visits. There's no junior days for visits or anything. So my recruiting was almost just like, I knew everything about the University of Montana. So I didn't really need much more. So just showed them how interested I was, and they gave me the opportunity and the chance. So it's been amazing.
How did COVID impact you at high school? Were you guys online, or did it always stay in person? I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, so I got pretty lucky in Montana. I mean, the second half of my junior semester, we were completely shut down. We were out of school, which wasn't the worst deal ever. We would go play basketball all day, go lift and golf and do stuff like that, go to lakes. So didn't stink all that bad. But then we're really getting worried my senior year, going into my senior year that summer. They were telling us football was going to either get canceled or be really limited. And so, we're really worried about that, but we just kept kind of pushing through it, getting through it. And then luckily enough, we were able to have a season, and we actually won the state championship that season. So yeah, my senior year, yeah, we won the state championship, and our class schedule was the first half of the alphabet went on Monday and Tuesday, and then the second half of the alphabet went on Thursday and Friday. And then we did that the first semester. Then the second semester, we had everybody come back into the school. So
State championship. So let's talk about that. That's always fun to reminisce about. Who did you play, and how did that go?
We played against Billings West, and we won 29-13, I think. Yeah, it was. We had a special senior year when I was in high school. Our team was just so close. We started playing football with each other when we were in fourth grade, and that was the other thing. It's like my friends were just so hardworking and all driven, and 5 of us committed to play Division I football here. And so out of just my class at Sentinel, and then one guy went to University of Washington, one guy went to BYU, and a couple went to Bozeman. So it's like, yeah, just a really dedicated and hardworking friend group. I think that really helps you push yourself and continue to strive. And I think we did that together, and that's why we were just so cohesive, why we were so successful that senior year.
Where do you think that comes from? I saw you won the MVP of the weight room one year. Like, is that just who you are? Was that high tides raise all boats? You're around other guys that were doing it, which made you push each other? Or where do you think that comes from?
I think it's just like competitiveness, like you said. I think like you look over to the guy next to you and you see he's doing this much, so I want to do a little bit more than he is. And so I think just continuously pushing yourself and kind of striving to be better than your peers, but also, holding everybody accountable. I think that's a big deal. I think a lot of people get so, infatuated with, just things that are going on, certain things like that. But really, you just got to focus on yourself and kind of hold yourself accountable. And like every day, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get better and help my teammates out. Kind of like that. Yeah.
And does that translate to the classroom too?
It does. Yeah, definitely. My grade point average was pretty steady. I think I had a 3.8 in high school. And then right now in college, I think I'm at a 3.7 or 3.6 right now. So yeah, I mean, I think grades are a big thing too, because once you have anything in your life, any aspect that you have that's kind of in the tank, I think everything else kind of follows suit. The other thing is like just your social life. Whoever you surround yourself by is, what you're going to be recognized as. So you want to hold yourself, to a higher standard, especially in the community. And I think our coaches in high school and our college coaches do a great job reiterating that, and how, you need to hold yourself to a high standard, or else, people aren't going to, take you seriously.
I like the saying, how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? Like, you think, oh, I can go party over here and get the results I want. Maybe in the short term, maybe for a little bit, but you're fooling yourself if you think that's going to actually be able to sustain that, right?
Yeah, I agree. And there's, I had plenty of friends who went down that party path, and how, I'm only in high school once, I'm going to enjoy it, stuff like that, college once. But, you have one goal, especially if you want to be an athlete. It's like, you can put that to the side. You're not even 21 yet. Just like focus on other things and let that take care of itself. It's like, if you really want something, you really got to put all your time and dedication into that and keep your nose clean. And I had a great group of friends that I really could focus on that with. And like I was saying earlier, it's like we all kept our noses pretty clean and we stayed out of trouble. And so I think that was also why we were so successful. And we just had great parents and a great support crew around us.
Wow. How old are you?
20 right
You're so mature. Oh
now.
my goodness. Amazing. You must have had great parents.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Great parents, great mentors. Yeah.
Great community, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Missoula's a beautiful place to grow up.
Yeah. Missoula.
Let's talk about getting to college. How many people, and for the listeners who might not know about redshirting, it's something that I did too when I got to San Diego State. The first thing they said was, "You're a very good athlete. You're not a very good volleyball player. We're going to give you another year." And at first you're like, what? And then I was like, actually, it was a gift because it gave you time to adapt to college and, a life and adjust and work really hard and get a lot of gains so that you were prepared. How did it come about for you?
I think a lot of 18-year-olds are pretty naive to the level and the speed of college football. And so I was able to kind of come in. I'm like, I looked at those guys and I said, I'm not quite at that level yet. And so you really mentally, like, there's a difference between being confident and being practical. And so you got to be confident in what you're doing and know that, after you put in that first year of, the scout team, playing against the ones every day, playing against the best offense, the best defense, and getting those reps, that was night and day difference for my football career. Like, I went against our first team offense every day at practice the same year that we beat the University of Washington, and they just played in the national championship 2 days ago. And so I think that experience for me was night and day difference of me being a better football player. It's like you need to develop more physical traits. You need to be tougher. You need to have better effort, stuff like that. And I think our coaches here do a great job, making sure they put you in your place, they hold you accountable, and they kind of humble you and keep you grounded, which is good. And, there's always those guys who they're freshmen, they come in and they're playing immediately, but those, that's not the case for everybody. And I think you need to focus on that and not look to other people in that sense.
So that didn't dissuade you. You didn't feel bummed about like, oh, I don't get to go in and just make an impact right away.
Exactly. No, I didn't. I knew my place and I knew that we had very deserving seniors. And that was the other thing is like, there was guys who were 6-year seniors from COVID and red shirts that got extra years of eligibility that I knew I was going to have to wait my turn. And I'm still waiting my turn, especially with this injury and stuff like that. It's like, I'm just waiting until, my time comes and I'm going to do everything I can for the team because you're joining a program to be a part of a team. You're not joining the program for your individual success. You're joining to try to help that team out and make sure that they're the most successful as possible. And like I said, scout team, you're doing that every day. You're trying to make those guys better for the upcoming week and stuff like that. So I think that you get all your opportunities freshman year to try to open eyes for the next few seasons. And really it's how you take those blows of hearing that you're going to be on the scout team and you're going to redshirt as the coaches notice how you take that. And so you're really having a good positive attitude every day and coming to work and doing what you're supposed to. I think that makes an impact on the rest of your career.
Spoken like a true team player, which I love, which reminds me of John Wooden's book. And there's a story, Susie Walton is my co-host usually on the podcast, and she talks about when Bill Walton, her former husband, was playing for John Wooden back in the early 70s. He recruited the number 2 center in the country. And the number 2 center came to UCLA and said, why would I come play behind Bill Walton?
Yeah.
And when I could go somewhere else. And of course, this is long before NIL or anything, right? And John Wooden said to him, because every single day you'll get to go against the best center in the country. Just imagine how good you'll be in 3 years, 4 years when you've battled against him every day. I was like, ooh, I love that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, especially with like you said, NIL, transfer portal, things like that. There's a lot of guys who, they're flipping around in and out of programs. And I think that once you find a program that really is willing to stick together and wanting to play with each other, that, like you said, someone that's willing to come in and kind of take the blows and just work every day and kind of get better experience. I think overall it's going to be more rewarding and it's going to be, a little bit sweeter at the end when you finally get that opportunity, you finally get your chance. And I think that's a great opportunity.
So let's go into your second year and tell us about the injury and how that came about and when and where and why and how.
Yeah. So after my, it was my redshirt freshman season, I had a great spring ball. I was starting to really progress, and I thought, I'd able to start seeing some special teams reps and start to maybe rotate a little bit on defense. And I had a great spring practice season, so I was doing well. I had a good spring scrimmage. had a few, reporters talking about me. I thought that was really cool, especially, finally getting a little bit of attention in college. But then August or April, about 28th, about 2 weeks after our spring game, I was back squatting and I herniated a disc in my back. And so, at the time I was like, oh man, my back's just really sore. And I worked with our training staff and they talked to me about, maybe it's just some muscle spasms. Let's get some PT going, start taking some muscle relaxers, things like that, try to calm it down a little bit. And I took a few weeks off, and then finally our summer workout started back up on June 1st. And so June 1st, I really just I was spearheading it. I was like, I got to get ready. I got to be able to play this fall. And so I pushed it as hard as I could. And about 2 weeks into those summer workouts, I woke up one morning. I was like, I can't walk. I had nerve pain down my leg. I couldn't feel my feet. It's like, yeah, it was crazy. And so finally they let me get an MRI, and they saw I herniated a disc in my back. And then I also had a spinal stenosis. So I had a little bit more of a narrowing in my spinal column. So I was able to get an appointment with the surgeon in Salt Lake, and he told me what was going to happen, and he kind of put me through the checklist. I had to start by getting a steroid injection to see if that would take any of the pain away. And just with that spinal stenosis and that narrowing I had in my spinal column, they said that wasn't going to be an option. And as soon as I got it done, I could tell none of that pain went away. And so ultimately surgery was the end option. And, my coaches were amazing, and my training staff here at the university was awesome. They helped me the whole way through it, and they were really supportive. And so I was able to get surgery August 31st and just been rehab since. The first 6 weeks of that was I couldn't carry anything over 10 pounds and I could only walk. And then after that, it was 25 pounds for the next 6 weeks. And now finally, probably starting about 5 to 6 weeks ago, I've been able to do PT. I've been able to lift and just starting to run using assisted treadmills and water and therapy and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Where's the pain? Is it gone?
It's gone. Yeah. So it's just a lot of stiffness for the most part here and there, but that nerve pain that I had is completely gone, which was the night and day difference for me. It helped a ton.
So I love the mindset stuff. And, I'm always amazed by athletes that have headwinds. I think we all have headwinds in life. A lot of people, you see successful people and you think, oh, they've had it so easy. And then you peel back the onion and you realize, no, they had this hurdle, this hurdle, this hurdle. It was how we chose to respond to it. It was how we chose to, and you're a great example of that. So talk about, and again, it doesn't mean that you get a headwind, you're like, woohoo. It means you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is not what I signed up for, or not what I, not expected, and probably nothing you could have done to avoid, really.
Yeah.
How did, talk us through your process of when it happened and how you were feeling, and then kind of how you're feeling now about it.
As soon as it happened, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like I kind of put myself in the best situation I needed to be in at the time, but it's ultimately, like you said, your mindset and how you kind of cope with it and how you deal with it. It's just a setback. I don't see it as something that's going to change everything for me. But I think, and I've been talking with my other teammates who've been going through the same thing. I had a teammate who's, someone who came in with me in the same class. He ruptured his Achilles in the spring. And so, talking with him every day, it's like, ultimately our goal is to overcome this injury and beat the injury. And then from there, we can focus on becoming better football players and really getting ourselves back into the swing of things. But supportive teammates all around and coaches. And so it's like, I had the chance to talk to Coach Houck, our head coach here at the University of Montana, and he was really supportive. Gave me a hug and he's like, you know what, we'll get you back when we can get you back. Just really focus on you and focus on getting your body healthy, and we'll keep it going. So yeah.
How many guys on the roster?
There's 103 guys on the roster right now, and then we graduate some, and then we'll bring some back in more this fall. So we usually range about 110 guys.
But what I hear from you is you're feeling seen and heard, despite this roster being so large. It's not like, oh, I'm just a number, nobody cares. You're like, no, they see me, they want me here.
Yeah, and even if that is the case, it's like, make yourself seen, make yourself heard. It's like, you can't feel sorry for yourself and be like, man, everyone's got to pay attention to me. Like, you're not the best thing ever, and they don't need to see you as the best thing ever. It's like, you need to work for your opportunities. And that's kind of the mindset I've had. It's like, even if no one sees me doing this, that doesn't matter. They don't need to see me working and trying to get back into the best position. They'll see soon enough when I get the opportunity to show them. So it's like, I've just been working hard, trying to get myself back into the shoes where I can play again and start to really progress and hopefully be healthy for this fall. So, and I had a great chance this whole football season to mentally kind of be in like a coaching role. So I was kind of like a student assistant for the most part. I helped our coaches out with, certain things at practice and watched film every day, came to meetings. It's like, once you check yourself out, that's when you really start to see this happen. So I was able to come to meetings every day. I watched the game plans. I went through everything with the team. And so I never felt like I was away from it, which is good. Yeah.
I remember our assignment when I was in San Diego State was to go coach camps every summer. And I think, part of it was okay, great way to make money. But more importantly, when we teach what we know, or we have to think about, oh, how do I do this? Or why do we do this? Right? An extra skill set. You're actually a gift that you're getting, because if you were in the game all the time, you probably wouldn't be getting the bigger picture, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's like we have freshmen that come in every year and their minds are just, our defense is just super confusing, complex, but it's why we're so successful. So you got to get that down before you have any chance of playing here. And so I've had the ability to kind of, I've got it down for the most part. So like you said, teaching it. And so helping these new freshmen and stuff, and helping transfers that come in, talk to them about what we're going through and stuff like that. Taking those mental steps and walking through it has been it's been a good change perspective for me, which I think is a good little change up.
Are there sports psychologists on staff?
Yeah. We have a lot of resources that we can go to and talk to. You can get appointments with them in the training room once a week if you need to.
Okay. Do you take advantage of any of that, or you don't feel like you need it?
I haven't yet. No.
Okay.
I think that'd be a good opportunity though. Yeah.
Yeah. My oldest son's playing basketball and he got a concussion. Same thing, COVID, collided with the largest guy on the team. And he said the meeting with the staff, with somebody that's like Switzerland, that's just kind of out there, that's not even attached to the staff, is really liberating, because you can just kind of like let loose on some things. And I highly encourage my athletes not only to talk to somebody, but to journal about it, to write it down, to get the stuff out, like, oh, this is bad. And then start picturing what you want. Like picturing yourself on that field next fall, crushing it, being in the best shape of your life, like actually manifesting. I call it remembering the future. Like, wow, I've been here before. And you have, because you did it in high school, which is really cool, because you have this like superpower that's already inside of you. You've already had the success. Now you just are recreating it, right?
Yeah, especially sitting in that locker room after we lost that national championship game. It's like you definitely have that pit in your stomach, and you see the tears in the seniors' eyes, and you're like, wow, I want to be back here, but I want the chance to help my team win, and I want us to be on the other side of this. And there's a lot of optimism in that locker room. A lot of hugs to the younger guys, and a lot of hugs to some of the guys that have another year and they get to come back. Like, we're going to be back here next year, and it's going to be a different outcome. And so I think everyone's working for that and striving for that. Like you said, you got to write your goals. You got to say your goals. And that's the thing I've started to do. It's like I've talked through them, talking with my staff here, trying to, they've been super supportive. So my strength coach, I've told him what I want, and he's helped me every step. So it's been great.
What were the words? I love hearing what coaches, and great coaches like Coach Hauk, who's had a ton of success, obviously, it's your darkest moment to get to the national stage championship and then not get the result. How did he respond in that moment in the locker room after?
Yeah, it was a lot of support, a lot of thanks to those seniors. Like I said, they've put in so much work and they've gone through so much. And so that was the first thing we did, is we gave a round of applause to those seniors, and, a lot of thanks to those guys. But then, it was immediately 2024 season starts now. And so it's like, we're working for that, and you really got to just put your nose down, and you got to remember that feeling. And, we're going to get back into that game, and we're going to hopefully be on the other side of it. And that just comes through the hard work we got to put in, and just keep being successful and keep growing as a team.
A couple of years ago, I had Channing Frye, who played for the Cavs on and with LeBron and everything. And he says, you need coal to make, fire. So like sometimes the best thing you can get is the nugget of just a lump of coal, so that you can like just start crushing and pushing. And I always responded to adversity that way too. It sounds like that's the culture with the Griz too, right? Which is, of course, that wasn't the outcome you wanted, but watch out. Look what we're going to do next year.
Yeah, we're not going to sit here and feel sorry for ourselves. And ultimately, we had opportunities and we just didn't capitalize. And so we're gonna learn from it. We're gonna grow as a unit, and we're gonna come together, and we're gonna strive to get back there next year.
So let's shift gears a little bit. You're a marketing major, and I asked you before we started if you'd ever done one of these, and you're like, oh yeah, I did one of these for my class. So let's talk about, what are your passions off of the field, and what are you pursuing? What do you hope to pursue, and how has sports helped you with that?
Yeah, so the podcast was, I called it the Road to Recovery podcast, and I brought on guests every episode, and so it was really cool. I mean, it was just something to help me cope with going through my injury. I talked to other student athletes about how they dealt with it, what lessons they learned, and things that they I talked about, like a little bit more free time. As soon as you're hurt, that you don't really get to spend time doing in your sport. So just talking with things like that, I think it was a good way to just talk through it and know that I'm not the only one going through something like this. It's like everyone's dealt their own hand and they deal with it their own ways. And so I think that was a great experience. And so, yeah, I was able to, and getting into that, I thought, podcasts and stuff like that is an awesome opportunity. And I think it's all great to continue our learning on certain things. And the more we talk about things, I think the better informed everybody gets. And so I think that's a great outlet for everything. And yeah, and the marketing stuff, it's like, both of my parents are in sales, and so I've always looked at that, and I think they kind of passed the development trait to me. It's like I feel like I can be somewhat successful in that one day if I wanted to. So
Do you
yeah,
have
that's
a dream? Do you have a big audacious goal of what you want to do, or are you just focused on football right now?
a little bit of both. I mean, I'm graduating this summer, which will be in 3 years from the start. So I graduate early, and then I'll start my MBA in the fall. And so
Good for
just
you.
yeah, thank you. Getting the education piece together and keeping a track of that, which will be good. And I'll have 3 more years of eligibility starting this fall, and then 3 more years of school that come with it. So, yeah,
You might have a PhD by the time you're done, huh?
exactly. Yeah, just do about anything that they have to offer here. So,
He's taken all the courses.
exactly. Yeah, it's been great though. There's a lot of great opportunities here at the university that have been super cool to kind of dive into. I learned a whole lot about logistics and trucking, stuff like that. That was super cool. Yeah, we had the chance to like manage a fleet of trucks, and we had to develop like using actual data and trips of how they plan out and how they take care of logistical issues. And so I thought that was something super interesting too.
Fascinating. So, do you see yourself living elsewhere? Or do you think you're a Missoula native? You're going to stay home. You're going to be there. You're going to
Well, I
get.
mean, haven't left yet, so I don't know if I will, but there's always a chance I need to. But yeah, I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it yet, and yeah, we'll see.
I ran into your parents. I was back in Missoula a couple of years ago for a reunion, and your older brother had just injured himself, I want to say,
Yeah,
and had to have surgery. What with his hips, I think,
yeah,
right?
that was something I forgot to mention. Is I saw my brother go through the exact same process, and so my brother, he had to do a bilateral labrum hip surgery, and so he had that done his senior year of high school, and then he starts getting back, and then he tears it again, and so he had to go back under and get the same surgery on one side. So I've seen the persistence and the dedication he had towards those injuries, and I kind of learned the lessons of it. It's like you got to just keep working, and there's a lot of people that help you out.
And what happened for him? Did he get to finish playing?
Yeah, so he had the COVID and everything that happened, and so that put a damper in it. But yeah, he played 4 years at the University of Sioux Falls. He wasn't as successful as he wanted to be, but he played and he enjoyed it, and he was able to come back from those injuries and sustain a solid career. And he's been so successful in the workforce now. He's a financial analyst here at Providence in Missoula, and he's living back home. And I think that going through an injury and something like that has definitely changed your mindset, and it's helped him and got him through and gotten him where he needs to be.
Amazing. Geno, you are an impressive man. I am so happy to get the chance to talk to you.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you.
can I ask you one last question? I want to let you go. I know you got a busy schedule.
Of
Um,
course.
I like to ask all our guests this. So, and you can go in any direction. Don't feel like it's a one word answer. You just, whatever comes to mind. I like to ask, the best athletes I know do this. How would you finish that thought?
The best athletes I know, they do the same thing. It's easier to do the same thing every day than it is to try to find motivation every morning to get out of bed. I think motivation comes and goes. I think being consistent and sticking with what you need to do, I think that'll help you stay on the right path. I think you know as fun it is to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go work out at 6 a.m. every morning freshman year like we have to here. It's like that will build a good foundation for what you need to do and to be successful. So I think it's easier to do the same thing every day than it is to try to change everything up and try to find that motivation to get out of bed every morning.
Wow, what a
So,
good answer.
yeah.
You should maybe, do you have any interest in going into coaching?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I always have thought about it, and I thought about college coaching and stuff like that. And I guess we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see, huh? So you just gave an amazing answer, but is there any other thing? I mean, for parents who are raising kids right now who may want to play in college at any sport, is there any other advice you would have for those who are, I mean, I had two really late bloomers who didn't get recruited early, who weren't getting any, like weren't seeing any signs of it going their way. What would you tell kids who are trying to figure it out?
I think that parents, there's a difference between support and there's a difference between babying a kid. And I think that another thing is you can't compare yourself to other people. And I found that with my friends. Like I played with a bunch of talented guys in high school, and they're all getting calls and offers to big schools. You can't try to compare your recruiting because different schools need different people. And so I think you need to focus on yourself and really focus on where you need to be and just how you can continue to get there. And then, like I was saying about the parenting, I think that the more we push each other, I think the better off we'll be. There's a difference between telling your son or daughter that they're the best thing ever and that they need to be there, and saying, "Hey, yeah, just keep working and keep going towards your goals, and something good will come." I bet. You don't need to tell them that they're getting screwed over by coaches and stuff like that, because ultimately their opportunities will come wherever they are. If you're playing any sort of college sport or any sort of other thing, I think that is a blessing, and that not very many people get the opportunity to do it, whether it's Division 1, NAI, or Division 3. I think that any sort of further, college career is amazing.
And do you see at the college level parents over parenting, snowplow, drone, helicopter, or are they kind of removed from the whole process by then?
I think that, yeah, there's certain parents that think that their son's, God's greatest gift and that they need to be on the field doing as much as possible. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes I have to even cool my mom off. She's like, "You're better than so and so." I'm like, "Mom, that's not the case, or else I'd be there." So she's good though. She's a tough mom, and they've always pushed me in the right direction, and I've never been they've never had an issue with it, which is good. So I always just gotta kind of pull the reins back sometimes.
But do you think that's evolved? I mean, I know you only have your paradigm, but I mean, what I see from our age, from your parents' age now, is that these parents are so over involved, and it takes away from some kids. They do really want it, but it's the parents kind of pushing them harder than they need to be pushed, or not in the right way, that actually makes them lose the love for it.
Yeah, I think burnout's a serious thing, and I think that I work with a personal trainer. So I worked out at a gym in high school and middle school, and now I work for him. I help him out at his place, and there's kids that come in that are going to there's a soccer camp, a basketball camp, a baseball camp. It's great to do all those sports, but a kid in the summer, they don't need to be sitting at camps for 5 hours and then going to work out and then go to basketball and stuff like that. It's like, just let your kids enjoy their time and let them have an input on what they want to do, because by the time they're in college, this is a full-time job being a college athlete. And so by the time you get here, you got to still love it, or else you're just going to fade out into it. And that's the thing that our coaches always say. They want guys who love football and that are going to love being here for, 12 hours a day, 9 months out of the year. And so you got to be able to have that commitment to it. And, parents just got to be, they got to help push their kids, but also know what they want. It's got to be a two-way relationship for sure.
Geno, you are wise beyond your years. You know that, right? You get told that a lot?
Yeah, sometimes.
That's great. Well, I can't thank you enough for making the time. This is so fun, and I am so cheering for you, and I can't wait to see you on the field next year. And please tell your parents I said hello, and go Griz.
Yes, definitely. Thank you guys so much for having me. And definitely excited to see how this comes out, and keep listening to the podcast. I think this is an amazing channel for all parents and all athletes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So parents, if you're listening, please like, share, ask us questions. If you've got questions for Geno, we can get them to him as well. But I believe we learn best when we all share our stories, and also realize and admit our weaknesses. And that's how we shine a light on that, learn from that, grow, and move forward. So parents, let's do this.